Welcome to the Fermented Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and on this channel I'm sharing our journey of learning how to turn our home into a homestead. Today we're going to be canning carrots. I canned carrots a couple years ago, and we're kind of getting to the end of our carrot stock in the pantry, so it's time to refresh it, and I'm going to go ahead and can a bunch more carrots. I'm planning on doing just one canner load full. I mean, like I said, I canned it a few years ago, so we don't go through it tremendously a lot, but my husband likes to use it and just adds it right at the end when he's making some kind of a soup or a stew or stock or something like that, or not a stock, but a soup, stew kind of thing, or whatever else he wants to do. So he just adds it at the end, and it works out perfectly for him. He doesn't have to wait for it to cook for a long time, so that's pretty much why I'm making it. So we're gonna follow this red book here. It's the Ball book of complete book of home preserving. I'm going to use the raw pack method, and we're going to pack these into the pint-sized jars, and we're just going to kind of go from there. So I'll show you everything that I'm doing. I'll bring you along. So the directions say to wash and to peel all of the carrots. We're not going to peel them. We're just going to go ahead and wash them. I feel like the peels are definitely a part of a lot of the healthfulness of the vegetables. So we're just going to leave the peels on them, and we're just going to wait for the roosters to stop crowing, but we're gonna go ahead and just wash these and then can them up. Now we have our jars all washed, we have our carrots all washed. Now we're just gonna cut them up and put them into the jars. And all I'm gonna do for these is I'm gonna cut them into kind of some larger size rounds, and then as it gets towards the tip of it, it's gonna be much longer cut. So it's like this versus like this. And with these, you want to leave 1 inch of headspace. So we're just gonna kind of put them in there, kind of shake them up a little bit. Try and cram a little bit extra. If we can. If we can't, we'll pull them out. Okay, there we go. So now we're just going to do that 20 more times, and then the canner will be full. While we're filling up the carrots, we're going to have the water on the stove boiling. We want to pour, even though we're doing this as a raw pack, we're still going to pour boiling hot water over it. So I should probably get that going. Now that we have all the jars filled up with the carrots, we're going to just add some salt to it. Each jar, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Next, we're going to do is just fill these up with water. And we got some nice hot boiling water. And we're filling it up to the bottom of this rim here, which is 1 inch of headspace. So we're gonna wait for more of the water to boil, and while we're doing that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna debubble the 10 that we do have filled up. So you're just gonna take your debubbler tool, and you're gonna kind of just go on the outside and try and release any air pockets that might be built up inside there. And you can use this debubbler tool. You can also use like chopsticks or, any kind, like a wooden skewer, anything like that. You don't want to use any kind of metal because you're going to scratch your jar and possibly get, you don't want to get glass shards in your food. So we're just going to do this to all of them. Okay, so now that we have debubbled all of our jars, and we've also, our new water is boiled, what we're going to do, I'm going to show you up real close here. So you have the jar here, and then we're going for 1 inch of headspace. And this rim that you have right here, the bottom of it, not the top, but the bottom of it is the 1 inch headspace. So that's what we're gonna refill everything up to. Okay. So now that we have it filled up to the right level, we're just gonna take our towel, we're gonna dip it in some vinegar, run it along the edge of the rim. You just wanna make sure we get any particles that could be in there. You wanna make sure that we're getting it off. And I'm sure that you probably at this, with what we're canning here today, you probably don't need to run the rim with vinegar. That's more to cut oil or stuff like that. But I just do it on everything because I don't want to have to worry about it. Okay. So now we're just going to put this ring on here, and we're going to tighten it to fingertip tight. And that's as tight as you can get it within reason with these 3 fingers. You just kind of tighten it on there. And then we're going to take this and put it into the canner. And the canner has warm water in there. It's not hot, it's not boiling, it's just kind of some warm water that will hopefully match about the temperature of each of these jars. So I'm gonna do exactly the same thing that I've done with all of these, and then I'll bring you back for when we're ready for the next step. Now that we have the canner totally filled up, a couple of basic things we gotta make sure we're doing. We have canning with a Presto canner. So this thing, I think it's called a pepcock, we have to make sure to look through it and make sure that you can see through it completely. You can. And then you make sure that this little toggle thing moves. Okay, and then we're gonna put it on. There we go. Close it up. We're gonna crank the heat. Well, mostly crank it. And just let this come up to pressure, come up to a boil. And then once this thing pops open completely, then we're gonna start our timer and let it vent out of here for 10 minutes. And the idea behind doing that is that when you get the air comes out of here, the steam comes out of here. It's pushing the air out of the canner, and it's making it so that it can actually maintain the pressure in there that you need to maintain. If there's too much air in here and not enough steam, or if there's air in here replacing the steam in there, it won't get up to the proper pressure, and so it's just not going to work as well. So we need to get all of the steam out of here, and that's the way we do it, is just letting it vent for 10 minutes. Okay, so we've let this vent for 10 minutes, and now all we're going to do is we're just going to put that on there, put the weight on there. For my area, it's 10 pounds of pressure. It depends on wherever you are, whatever your elevation is. You need to look that up, and that will determine what pressure you need to have on there. So we're going to let this come all the way up to 10 pounds of pressure till this starts jiggling. Then we'll regulate the heat and set the timer for 25 minutes. We're doing the pint jars, and so it is 25 minutes. If you're doing quart size, I think it's 30, but don't quote me on that. And you can look up all of these times on various different websites. I'm getting it out of the ball preserving book, but you can look it up at the National Center for Home Food Preservation. All kinds of different sources and recipes and things that you can follow. So you can see that this is getting up there pretty darn quick. So I'm not even gonna walk away. This is probably within the next minute, maybe 2 minutes, this thing's gonna start jiggling, and then we'll set our timer. So you can see now it's jiggling. Didn't take a whole lot of time. And so now we're gonna go ahead and lower the pressure, or lower the heat down to my oven, you know, between 7 and 8 is usually just about right. So we're gonna regulate that and just kind of get it to where it's kind of just rocking back and forth, not going crazy. And for 25 minutes, set the timer here. There we go. So now in 25 minutes, we're gonna come and all we're gonna do is just turn off the heat. And then after that, we're just gonna let it cool down completely by itself all the way until it's no pressure whatsoever. This thing has dropped and this thing stops moving. It's just totally down from pressure. If that makes any sense. I wanted to go ahead and show you the carrots. I ended up getting called out to work, and I wasn't actually able to be here to take them out of the canner and show you guys that process. But my husband pulled them out of the canner, and it's been a few hours, and they kind of just been here, and they are totally done. Most of them have a good amount of headspace still left in them. A couple of them are a little bit low, And if you look inside the canner here, you can kind of see the water has just a little bit of a hint of color to it. Nothing crazy, but there was definitely a little bit of seepage going on there, but nothing too crazy. So I just wanted to bring you back and show you everything. All of the jars have sealed and they should be totally good. It's only been a couple hours. We're gonna leave these on the counter undisturbed for 24 hours. So tomorrow evening, I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna remove all the rings, test the seals just to make sure that they're all sealed, and we're gonna wash them up, label them, and throw them in the pantry. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it or if you learned anything, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Bye.